A little over a year ago, to the dismay of a great many people in my audience, the Florida Maquis began making videos talking about two particular subjects that not a lot of people like to talk about in public: prostitution and infidelity. And some scratched their heads and said, "Florida Maquis, nobody else is talking about this in a survival context. Why are you?" Well, I said it was going to start to become a much more prevalent topic very soon, and here we are now, a year and 2-3 months later. And what is the number one story on the headlines? Even Donald Trump himself has now come out on his Truth Social site and said in a couple of days he expects to be arrested. For what, might you ask? Well, basically paying hush money to a lawyer to pass on to a prostitute because he was messing around on Melania. Now, whether Melania knew about it or not, whether she cared or not, is irrelevant. It's prostitution and infidelity. And for those of you who aren't aware, woman on the left, Stormy Daniels, she's an adult film star. It's just a hybridized version of course, prostitution, being paid for sexual activities. Would it not have been just easier at this point, looking back, to say, yeah, I had an affair. I had an affair with this woman. She's a very popular porn star, and one thing led to another. I can't say that I necessarily regret it, but I do regret all of the heartache and consternation that it has caused the country and my supporters and everyone else. Can we just let it be? I will stipulate that the events happened, and let's move on. None of us are perfect. Wouldn't that have been easier to say? You see, the former president was afraid of how he would be perceived by a certain sector of his supporters, the religious right, the moral right. They would say, how can we vote for a guy who admits to having done this? How many in the church have been convicted of this, going back to Jimmy Swaggart? And how many others have been caught in dalliances? We are human beings. Even Hamlet, William Shakespeare said, "We are errant knaves all, believe none of us. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners?" to paraphrase a scene from Hamlet. Our Constitution says we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of whatever makes us happy at that time, whether or not long-term that's a good decision or not. We have a right to do that. Now, on the other side of this equation, see, not all women want flowers. Some just want a 40-acre off-grid homestead with a flowing creek. I'm sure at some point in their lives, some woman would say, you know what, if I was out here all by my lonesome, and I never saw a man again, I'd be happy as a clam. And I don't blame some of them based on the experiences they've had. But it's all about this, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. And heads up, brand new video over at Patreon. Just put up a few hours ago. It's the one I had been talking about for the last couple of weeks. We're going to start a series on survival. And survival begins with this: dominion. I don't care who you are, this is your goal. Over your life, over your future, over your surroundings, over your situation, every human being wants full dominion. Nobody wants to be under the thumb of anyone else. No one wants to have to look to anyone else for their survival. They want to be able to do it on their own for themselves, so they can put their head on the pillow at night and not have to wonder, is this other person going to make this decision or that decision, and then I'm going to be out this, that, or the other? It's about dominion. Now, fair warning, if you'd like to see that video, it'll cost you all of $1. That's it. $1 per month over Patreon. Even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable first 90 days. No questions asked. And it's also a great example in this particular video that we do. It's a 30-minute long video of how far we have fallen in this country when it comes to censorship. I show a couple of video clips in the most recent video over there from a series called Revolution that aired in 2012 and 13 on broadcast TV in North America. It was on NBC. You didn't have to pay cable subscription. And there are things in that 2-season series that now, only a short 10, 11 years later, you would have to see behind a paywall. You couldn't even put it on cable. In 10 or 11 years, things that were okay to show on broadcast TV in North America, now you would have to see behind a paywall because of the amount of censorship that has been installed in the last 10 to 11 years. That's why we have Patreon. I would love to have your support. This is also why we partner with Vimeo. We partner with Vimeo so that we can do things like this. It's all about psychological operations, this idea, men and women both. I don't think anybody would disagree with me. Yeah, Florida Monkey, I get it. I want to be the one who is in charge of my life, working for somebody that's very difficult to do. For example, I don't care how good of a cashier you are at Walmart. You could be the best one or you could be the worst one, and it's going to have nothing to do with whether your particular Walmart stays open or is profitable or not. I don't care if you have the best army of cashiers at your local Walmart. It's not going to have a thing to do with the profitability of that store or whether they decide to keep it open or what they do. It has nothing to do with it. So you're powerless. And that's what really is going on right now. This is a screenshot, or basically the title page for Revolution. Tracy Spiridakis and a few others, but it'll really shock you. It really will. There are no desperate situations. There are only desperate people. I'm sure a lot of my audience right now is looking at grocery bills they never thought they'd see, wondering how they're going to make ends meet. What are they going to do? How are they going to fill this little gap? I don't think very many people are on the edge of having to go live in their car, but they see themselves getting further and further and further and further behind and wondering, when's the breaking point going to happen? What little thing can they do to fill the gap? A lot of them choose to go do things like Uber and Lyft, which is very common. It's open to everybody, but you'd have to ask, this is where you have this very strange question occur. What is truly the moral thing versus the safe thing? I drove for Uber and Lyft. It is not a safe thing to do. It truly is not. It's just a matter of time. And if you're a young woman, it's an extremely unsafe thing to do. I don't care how proficient you are with a weapon, you're driving a car. You can't do the two things at the same time. I would never recommend any young woman even consider this versus what we have seen develop online as far as home entertainment paid options, so to speak. I would much more rather encourage somebody to maybe do the moral gray area thing behind a locked deadbolt at home with a camera than go out, especially these days. You see, and that's what we really brought up about this moral dilemma. This Victoria Treese here in Florida, who was forced into this decision in 2020 to be able to be a mom to her kids, to stay home, but still be able to bring in enough money to pay the bills. So she did this very moral gray area kind of thing. And once people out in the real world got a wind of what she was doing, they tried to publicly shame her. Now, sound familiar? Sound familiar? Does the story sound familiar? I mean, guys, if somebody found out that you were a fan of somebody on one of these sites and you were pledging $3 or $5 or $10 or whatever, would you pay them hush money, or would you say, okay, you got me? Yeah, you got me. I found, somebody that I thought that it was a good idea to support, and I did, and signed up, and I send this person $5.99 or $7.99 or $12.99 or whatever a month. Yeah. I mean, would that not be the easier? Regardless of what people would think of you, wouldn't it be the more, well, it should be the easier, the right thing to do, just fess up. Just fess up and say, yeah, I did this. This is the decision I made. I'm going to own it. You see, J.P. Morgan spelled it out. For neoliberalism to survive, democracy must fade. A lot of people see that word, neoliberalism. They say the word liberal there in the middle, like, that's right, we got to get rid of liberal. Neoliberalism has nothing to do with the modern left in North America. Nothing to do with the progressives or Democrats. Neoliberalism is the form of capitalism in which the state deregulates the economy, says whatever big business wants to do, let them do. Destroys unions, meaning, oh, you people trying to get together and stand up to these people, that's a bad idea. Decreases taxes on the rich, meaning increase taxes on the not rich. Defund public goods, meaning, oh, public spending, that's socialism. I mean, we've heard that before, right? Isn't socialism is taking money from the people who earn it and giving it to people who don't. That's definitely the definition of socialism, as defined by taking tax money and using it for the public good, while repressing and policing the poor. The bottom 6 squares right here literally define North America 2023. Actively favoring big business interests in the wealthy, removes the protections of labor laws, guts welfare, eliminates social services, police power, incarceration are instruments of social policy, free trade policies empower corporations to seek cheap labor and resources, and military force is used to repress opposition abroad as well as home. Period. And this is a question I would like to ask a lot of people here, the moral types, the Christian types. Have you ever heard of a pastor or a deacon or a preacher, when he passed the plate, have you ever heard of one give out a little form before taking the money that makes the giver state that the money was earned in an honest, decent, and Christian upright manner? Have you ever heard of a church questioning where the money comes from? It's just a plate full of money, and they're going to take it and they're going to put it in the bank. They don't care where it came from. But what if I told you that wasn't always the case? There's this term called filthy lucre in the Bible. And you're supposed to be prohibited from benefiting from anything that was ill-gotten or gotten in an immoral manner. But the churches in modern North America, they don't even ask. They don't even ask where the money came from. They're just thankful to have it. And they're going to put it in the bank. Even though they're 501c3, they're not going to ask. Now ask yourself this question. Why? Why? Eager for base gain, greedy for money. Would it matter to you? Would it matter to you? Let's say you were renting out a room. Let's say you decided to put one of those little miniature shed-like home deals in the back of your property, and you were going to rent it out for a couple $100 a month or $300 a month. As long as that person paid their rent every first of the month on time, you can ask how they're getting it. As long as they're quiet and clean and neat and they stay within the boundaries of the rental agreement, are you going to ask how they get the money and not take the money? See, this is a secret right now that not a lot of people know about. This OnlyFans thing, the camera site on the web where you can go do whatever you want in front of a camera, and then based on how much people may or may not want that, they send you money. You should see the numbers. OnlyFans attracts investor interest because it claims to have paid over $5 billion yearly to over 1.5 million content creators. The purpose of OnlyFans was to connect celebrities and content creators with fans. Fans pay a subscription of $5 to $50 a month for exclusive content. They claim OnlyFans content creators can make between $1,500 and $7,500 a month. Now, what if all you needed was, say, 750 to bridge that gap, that inflation gap, that Bidenflation gap? Instead of having to go out and drive for Uber, drive for Lyft, or pick up a second job that may be in a shady neighborhood. Do you think people would do it? If they could do it in the privacy of their own home? If they could do it behind closed doors? You ready to hear the real numbers? OnlyFans does issue dividends on its shares. Its main private shareholder and OnlyFans owner Leonid Radvinsky received $500 million in dividends over 2 years, netting him $1 million a day in 2022. Just for pictures. Pictures and little snippets of video. Now, compared to YouTube, it's small. But given what it is and how easy it is, and given that there's no censorship at all on OnlyFans, none at all, and how fast it's grown, mark my words. 2 years ago, well, a year, to be honest, a year and about 3 months ago, I began seeing something. And it started to be prevalent everywhere. And it was a mixture of different forms of prostitution, pornography. Pornography, by the way, is a word that means those who write about the lives of prostitutes. You see, just an image of a body, a human body, whether male or female, that's not technically pornography. Let me say that again. Just the image of a human body is not pornography. Pornography is writing about the writings of the lives of prostitutes. Look that up if you think I'm making that up. It's writing about the lives of prostitutes. So technically, anybody writing about the Stormy Daniels saga with Donald Trump is engaging in a form of pornography. Are they not? But a year and 3 months ago, nobody would have seen this. And why is it such a big deal? Because Donald Trump was married. So there's the infidelity angle. Prostitution, infidelity, all wrapped up. Not just a Florida Maquis invention. It is now the number one story across all platforms. Twitter, Facebook, Fox, CNN, mainstream media, legacy media. This will be the number one story the next 2 days. And this channel was talking about it a year and 3 months ago. Dominion over your life. That's what the money's about. The money that goes directly to you that Uncle Sam never sees, that allows you to have control over your life and do what you want and sleep well at night. If you'd like to see the video, the full 30-minute video where we lay all this out in a gloves-off manner, join us over at Patreon. We would love to have you. Like I said, it's only $1 per month. That $1 is giving me the ability to have dominion here in my life. I know it doesn't seem like it would be, but with the amount of people, the reach that these videos get, if I had even achieved 5 or 10%, I'd probably not be on YouTube anymore, but that's how few people actually step up. Not even, if you look at my subscriber count, not even 5%. Not even 5% of my subscribers have stepped up for the lowest allowable level of $1. Would you make a difference? Could you make a difference? It would mean so much to me. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. And like I said, not for you. Go over there, check it out. First 90 days. Peruse. There's dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of videos over there. Check them out. They're not for you. Fully refundable. First 90 days. No questions asked. God bless. Have a great weekend. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.